amount of work that Ibn Hazm had put forth. Massive amount of knowledge that he disseminated. To such an extent that Imam al-Zahabi quote in his book Siyar A'lam al-Nubala that Izzuddin ibn Abdus Salam said. Izzuddin ibn Abdus Salam is a scholar of Shafi fiqh. He is given the title Sultanul Ulama. Sultanul Ulama meaning is like, king of all the ulama. So Izzuddin ibn Abdus Salam, he says that in the entire history of Islam, there are 2 books written and there's nothing like that. Like 2 books par excellence covering the entire fiqh of Islam. There's no book, there's no similitude of those books. And he said, number 1, Al-Muhalla bil-Athar of Ibn Hazm. Imagine a boy or a man or young man, 26 years old, who didn't know even about this ahkam of Tahiyatul Masjid, comes to Masjid, get dismayed, he became sad, started seeking knowledge, and then became kind of, he is producing volumes of works. Scholars say when he wrote around 400 volumes were written by him when he passed away. That was the amount of knowledge he had produced. And like Izzuddin ibn Abdus Salam said, there was no book on the history of Islam which is similar or as magnificent as book of Ibn Hazm al-Muhalla. And then Zahabi comments on it. Imam al-Zahabi is not like a normal person. Al-Zahabi is someone who wrote books on history of Islam. He's acquainted of all the scholars that passed in the history of Islam. He wrote their biographies. And this person is saying Izzuddin ibn Abdus Salam, he spoke truth when he said this. So now, the purpose the point which I'm trying to make here is that a person who started seeking knowledge late in his life produced something which is amazing. Like scholars, they describe him adib, someone who is kind of like expert in literature, in Arabic literature, and they give example of his book Tawq al-Hamama. Someone who's a debater, he had a lot of debates. He had debates with Jews and Christians. And he quoted from their own books and refuted them. Like he has a book which is published, Ar-Radd ala ibn Aghrela. There was a person called a Jewish rabbi called Samuel ibn Aghrela during his time, around 1,000 years before our time. And he wrote a book in refutation of Samuel ibn Aghrela in Arabic, 1,000 years before our time. Published. Even now, it's available. Okay? Debater who debated even various religions. Faqih, no doubt. Faqih, Mujtahid. When scholars, they mention him, he says, Mujtahid Imam. Faqih. Who was expert in hadith. He could grade hadith as well, Muhaddith. He even spoke on the exegesis of Quran, Mufassir. He was involved in the siyasa as well, in politics. Like someone who was a polymath. In my book, I gave examples of number of Western scholars who were non-Muslims, some Jews and some Christians, who kind of admitted this, this fact that, this is someone in the history of Spain, or they say in the history of entire Islamic world, someone who is kind of amazing, a genius produced by Islam. I started with the ayah of Quran, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. And I mentioned the population of people who were literate, who could read or write, and I said around 0.5 to 1%. And imagine the impact of that Iqra till Ibn Hazm, or even after that, or even I mentioned the book of George Abraham, The Rise in Colleges, comparing the Western universities, how they borrowed this concept from Islamic scholars or Islamic universities. This is what knowledge has done to Islam. So seeking knowledge is never late, Even, there's university in Egypt, Jamia al-Azhar, there was a person over there who was a sweeper. Sweeper, someone who cleans. sweeper. And of course, it's a university, there has to be scholars, right? So they were scholars. So when he was kind of sweeping some scholar, he mocked at his language, the Ammiya Arabic that he was speaking, not a good Arabic. He mocked at him. And this guy was old, sweeper, like the exact age, I don't know, but quite old, not a young boy. He's a man, 40, 50. Sweeper. When that scholar mocked at him, kind of made fun of him, his language, he said, I should learn the language. I should learn just like he's learned. And he started learning Arabic and mastering Arabic language at that age. And now his book is one of the authority in Arabic language. By Al-Azhari, they say. I mean, the point I wanted to make is that it's never late for us to start seeking knowledge. One more example that came to my mind is someone called Muqbil bin Hadi al-Wadi'i, a scholar from Yemen. This person was from Yemen and he was in search of job. He was poor. So he comes to Mecca, and Mecca and Hijaz and Mecca, Medina, that region, for us in search of job. And when he came there, he was a doorman. So what was his job? Doorman, to open the door. Job of the doorman, or you say watchman or doorman. But he had zeal, passion to learn Islam. So whenever he used to get time, he used to go to Haram and study under scholars. In his free time, he used to seek knowledge. He was a doorman. He started this seeking knowledge very late in his life, around 30 years age. So you see, and then he was admitted to, because of his, kind of passion towards knowledge, passion towards learning, he was admitted to Islamic University of Medina. And then he did his master's. And after that, he came back to Yemen and he started institute this Darul Hadith Dammaj. And the amount of students that came from him. I was in France. I met students who said they went to Yemen to study under Muqbil bin Hadi al-Wadi. Like people from France, from Germany, from Europe, from Asian continent, from Japan and Malaysia and Indonesia, and even from America, a number of countries, they travel to Yemen to seek knowledge from the institute that this person has established. And history, if when it comes to hadith, authentication of hadith, Muqbil bin Hadi al-Wadi has number of books. He has books. He has produced scholars. So you have so many students in the world, spread throughout the world, who are the students of Muqbil bin Hadi al-Wadi. And they have established their own masajid. I was amazed to know, I had a kind of collaboration with some scientists in University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. And I was planning to move there. So I was just looking, what masajid are there. And I found one masjid named after him in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. And I heard there's a Masjid Muqbil in so many places. People in different countries named masajid after him, institutes after him. Who was he? 30-year-old doorman. What he achieved? You can know that by his books, by his students. Because Allah raises, if someone is kind of knowledgeable, if someone seeks knowledge for the sake of Allah, Allah raises him in status. Like just, there's a famous hadith reported in authentic sources where Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in Sunan Tirmidhi, he said, the virtue of a scholar, the virtue of a alim, scholar, over the abid, over the worshipper, someone who worships Allah. He's a nice, worshipper. He prays tahajjud. He does a lot of good deeds. Okay, he's a nice worshipper. He worships a lot. And someone who gives preference to knowledge, seeks knowledge. He wants to become alim. The fadl, the virtue of alim or a scholar over the worshipper is like my virtue over the least one amongst you. Who said this? Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said this. Like the virtue of a scholar over the normal common worshipper is like my virtue over the least one amongst you. This is the comparison of the parable or the similitude that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave to mention, the significance of seeking knowledge. And there are a number of authentic ahadith in virtues of knowledge. Like Allah's Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said in a hadith reported in Sunan Abu Dawood, that Allah's Messenger said, verily angels, the malaika, angels lower their wings for the seeker of knowledge. And the inhabitants of heavens and earth, and even the fish in the depths of ocean, seek forgiveness for the scholar. And the same hadith mentions, the virtue of a scholar or worshipper is like superiority of moon over the stars. And the scholars are inheritors of prophets. They do not leave behind dirham or dinar. When the prophets, when they die, they do not leave inheritance in form of gold or silver. Rather, what is the inheritance? Inheritance is a prophetic knowledge. And who inherits that? The scholar, the true scholar inherits that. So that's kind of a virtue of a scholar. I'll give you one more example of how Allah raises someone because of knowledge. There was a person in the northern part of India, Hindu, Banke Lal, or something like that was his name, Hindu, from Hindu family. He came to study something, and he found some Muslims, and he was inspired. He read Quran, and he had this interest, I want to learn hadith. What is this special thing about hadith? So he started reading books of hadith that were translated. And then he told someone that, he wanted to know more. This person accepted Islam, and he went to this Jamia Darus Salam in Umarabad in Tamil Nadu, India, studied hadith sciences over there, and from there he was selected to Medina University. And then he did his bachelor's in Medina University. And after that, he asked Sheikh Ibn Baz that, I want to study further. I'm still not, it's not sufficient for me. I want to study more. He said, go do masters in Al-Azhar, in hadith. He did his masters in hadith from Al-Azhar, Jamia Al-Azhar, Egypt. He was still not, he wanted to study more. He did his PhD in hadith from Al-Azhar. Then he was called back to Medina to become teacher. He came there, became teacher of hadith. Then he was raised to the position of dean of hadith. Became dean and director of the department of hadith. And he taught many scholars. And then they gave him, because of his caliber, seeing his knowledge and excellence, they gave him Saudi citizenship. Because generally they don't give citizenship to anyone, I think. Because it's not like states that, you stay for long and then you get passport. It's not like that. They don't give citizenship, even if you stay for whole life. Or even if your father was born there, something like that. You don't get citizenship. So he was given citizenship over there based on his excellence and knowledge. And then, when he got retired, they kind of asked, because the norm was that if you want to have some chair or some position in the haram, which is Masjid Nabawi or Masjid al-Haram, in those areas, if you want to have permanent chair over there, you should be citizen, and it's generally, it's Arabs. Arab scholars generally, they don't give generally to non-Arabs. This scholar, because of his excellence, he was given chair of hadith in Masjid al-Nabawi, where he taught for a number of years. Hindu, some Bankilal or something, some part of India, Dean of Medina University, to someone chairing the position of hadith in Masjid al-Nabawi. Then when he retired, they asked him, no, what's your plan now? Like, you are retired now, what do you want to do? So he said, I have a wish that, I want to compile all the Sahih hadith in one collection. Like you have Bukhari, Muslim, and many other books, right? Sunan Tirmidhi, Abu Dawood, Ibn Majah, and Nasai, and Musnad Ahmad, and many other books, Musnad Abu Yala, and so many other books. Bazzar is there, Sunan Bayhaqi is there. You have a hadith which are Sahih, which are weak, and some are fabricated. So he wanted to compile all the Sahih hadith in one collection, in the chapters of fiqh, according to chapters of fiqh, in one collection, so that you don't have to go into different books of hadith and find out whether it is Sahih, whether this is not. You don't have those kind of work, And then he compiled this entire work in a number of years. He spent years and years, I think decades, just to compile all this Sahih hadith in one collection. And then he named it Al-Jami' Al-Kamil Fil Ahadith Al-Sahih Al-Shamil. It's published in 25 big, large volumes now. And I think they have started a project to kind of translate this into English language. I heard that it started. The entire encyclopedia is being translated to English language. All the entire corpus of hadith, Sahih hadith. The point is, imagine his name, then he named himself Ziaur Rahman Azami, Dr. Ziaur Rahman Azami, Indian origin scholar. The Azami is from Azamgarh, UP, Uttar Pradesh, a part of India. The point is, someone who was old, he was not a small boy whose started seeking knowledge. Someone who was old enough, accepted Islam, started learning, and then made a contribution which even Muslims say, wow, they are in awe. So it's never like, it's too late for me. People have excelled in knowledge, in different sciences, in different, and the struggles. If you see from the time of Sahaba, the struggles that they had in terms of seeking knowledge was something amazing. And just one example is example of Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari. The hadith is reported in Musnad Imam Ahmad, Sahih hadith, that he traveled in his camel for 1 month just to get one hadith from Abdullah ibn Qais. One hadith, just to get one hadith, he traveled to Sham, Syria, 1 month journey, just to get one hadith. And imagine now, because nowadays, you have so many applications and softwares, and you can have entire corpus of hadith in collections, in your laptop or in your mobile phone. But those were the times, just to collect one hadith, he had to travel 1 month in camel, in that scorching heat, that environment. Imagine the impact that hadith had on him in his life. After listening to the hadith, it was about the rights of people, that we should be careful, that, because on the day of judgment, people will be naked, uncircumcised, and when Allah will ask, He'll not admit someone to paradise before they clear someone's rights. This is what the hadith is about. So imagine now the impact this hadith had on him. So this is what the knowledge is. Just of the fadl of knowledge, the excellence of knowledge, the virtue of knowledge. I ask Allah to keep all of us firm upon the straight path, and to ask Allah to keep guiding us to Sirat al-Mustaqim. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.
Jazakallah khairan for the beneficial talk. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those who seek knowledge, and inshallah we'll be starting with the Salat al Maghrib now, and there will be arrangement for food after that, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum. Come near to the door. Stand here. Stand here.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاح حي على الصلاح حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا